Oh, our guys, I told our team after the game, what I'm really proud of is tonight is our fight. We don't go away. They don't, our guys don't pack it in even when we're behind. They keep fighting and, knowing that there's another opportunity. And, we had an opportunity in the ninth inning. What's, unfortunate, that, the first two innings are what cost us the ball game, so they jumping out to a 9-1 lead is pretty tough to come back from. And, Radford's pitcher did a tremendous job. Their starter, he was throwing hard. He was down in the zone. He threw all fastballs but 2 pitches on the night. And but that's a sign where, if you throw the ball down in the zone, you can get good results. And that's what we didn't do in the first 2 innings. But certainly I'm extremely happy with our fight at the end of the game. Our guys just feel like they're never out of it.
When did you give the go for
Really, just this afternoon. Artie's been cleared medically for about 10 days now, and we were going to use him last week in the middle of the week if the situation presented itself, and it never did because we were in 2 close ball games. And so really this afternoon I just decided, that rather than waiting for a situation to pitch him in and that situation doesn't come, to just start him, and we'll look at it, but that's probably something that we will continue to do and continue to bump up his pitch count. Obviously he's showing that he's healthy. He's got a good arm. He was throwing the ball up to 92 miles an hour out there, but naturally, he's going to be a little overexcited and overthrowing a little bit. And, he had that 1 walk, and then unfortunately we didn't handle that, double play ball with the bases loaded. Certainly it would have been a different type of inning had we handled that.
You're seeing a guy come back that quickly, and did you expect this?
Oh, yeah. When you come back from Tommy John surgery, it's all, the player tells you on how he's recovering, after he throws and things like that on, what his status is. So, certainly guys have come back from this surgery quicker, but this was the next step. He's been throwing live to hitters and has looked very good for really 3 or 4 weeks now. And, you can't hold a guy back anymore. There's no, the next thing is to put him in game competition and build his pitch count up from a game standpoint. So it doesn't surprise me that he was back on the mound today because this kid is, he's a warrior. Artie Lewicki is, and he works. And, he's deserved this opportunity to come out and start pitching for us.
Pitch count was 30.
Yeah, it was a little bit less than 30, I think maybe 25. Our plan going into the game was him to throw anywhere from 20 to 30 pitches. And then hopefully, as we progress with weeks forward, that, we can continue to move that pitch count up as we continue to progress forward.
What did you see from him on the mound that you liked, and what were some things that he was?
Well, it's hard to say just because he went out there and threw 1 inning. But, obviously his velocity's good. It's where it was before he got hurt. It's just he's got to calm himself down and stay within himself. But like I said, that's natural that, it's you're coming back from arm surgery. It's your first start. You're pitching at home. You want to do so good, and sometimes you try to do too much. So, I think that just comes from experience, getting him back out there and getting him to calm down.
With him just pitching that inning was a different type of feel, I guess, for Trey coming in the second rather
Yeah.
than starting. Do you think that has an effect at all?
I don't think that had anything to do with it at all, really. Whether you're starting the first inning or the second inning, you're still starting an inning. Trey's just, he gets the leadoff out on a drag bunt and then walks the next guy, and you just can't do that. And then, he's throwing a lot of pitches up in the zone, and that doesn't matter whether it's in the first inning or second inning. You can't do that and have success.
How does you're falling behind 9-1?
No.
Your approach and play change at all? Or keep things the way they
It just depends on, what kind of pitcher you're facing, whether he's somebody does he have a lot of walks and do you need to be more patient? I think it just depends who they have in the ball game. Certainly dictates what you need to do offensively. Certainly you got to be smart. You can't just be going up there and swinging at anything and trying to do too much. You got to try to build innings like we did, build innings to try to get a big hit or get a home run to try to close the gap a little bit.
Obviously, Derek Fisher seems to be back to full house.
Yeah.
full health. I don't think that home run landed yet. But
Yeah.
talk about just having that power bat back in the lineup and at full strength.
Well, certainly we're glad Derek's back. He's been a great player for us for a year and a half now, and he's showing now that he's healthy, and he'll be back in there, and hopefully adds another jolt to that lineup for us that we haven't had in the last week and a half or so.
Looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, might be a different situation now for Waddell. He hasn't had a decision really in almost a month.
Yeah.
And now he's got a team coming off of a loss too. So kind of a big spot for him, I guess.
Oh, I think so. Brandon hasn't pitched up to his capabilities the last, two weekends, but he's a freshman. Typically freshmen go through that kind of rough spot at some point, and it's just a matter of him continuing to do the things that he does that has allowed him to be successful, and he needs to get back to doing that.